Job cataloging items at a storage facility. Something is wrong with unit number 232. Part 1. It started with a Craigslist post looking for a dependable night worker to catalog and log storage unit contents. $28. Must be comfortable working alone. Background check required. I was broke, behind on rent, and out of options. The job sounded perfect. Quiet, low stress. I figured it'd just be documenting hoarder junk or maybe stuff from unpaid units. I didn't ask many questions. The guy who hired me, Mr. Selby, met me at a diner and explained the rules. 1. You only work at night. 2. You must wear the gloves we give you. 3. Do not open unit number 232. Ever. 4. If it opens on its own, close it immediately and leave. 5. No pictures, no phones inside. His tone was calm but final. I thought it was a scare tactic to keep kids from stealing. I signed the NDA and started that night. Part 2. The facility. The place was massive, rows of units stretching out like a dead city grid. Most of the units were just junk, furniture, clothes, boxes of documents. I'd catalog everything in a logbook, old school pen and paper, no electronics allowed. The first few nights were easy, quiet, peaceful even. But the longer I stayed, the more I began to notice weird details. Unit numbers were off. They didn't count sequentially. Some had decimals. One was labeled 188.2B. One unit was filled with broken mirrors. Another was stacked floor to ceiling with dozens of the same wedding dress. Unit number 119 contained a single sealed tank filled with what looked like teeth suspended in clear fluid. I'd write down the contents. I didn't ask questions, but on my 7th night, I passed unit number 232. It had no lock, just a faint hum coming from inside. The rules break. By night 10, things got worse. I heard breathing when I passed certain units. The temperature dropped when I neared number 232. My name started appearing in the margins of the logbooks in handwriting that wasn't mine. Then, one night, number 2232 was open. Just slightly. I stared into the dark and I swear I saw a room inside that didn't belong to the facility. It looked like a child's bedroom. Wallpaper, toys, a mobile spinning on its own. A broken baby monitor crackled with white noise on the floor. I shut the door, left early. Didn't tell Selby, but it was too late. The unit opened on its own the next night. And this time, something followed me home. My apartment started to change. A hallway in my place now ended with a copy of unit number 232's door. I heard something knocking from inside my bathroom mirror. My dog refused to come indoors. One night, he bit me when I tried to bring him in. I called Selby. No answer. I returned to the facility the next night to quit in person, but the building had changed. Inside, the layout was different. No lights. The units were stacked at impossible angles, some upside down. Unit number 232 was in the center of everything now, glowing faintly. I opened it. I had to. And inside was my childhood bedroom, exactly how I left it when I was 10. There was a TV playing static and a VHS tape labeled "Don't Let Her Out." Tape. I played the tape. It was footage of me sleeping, different angles, different nights. It even showed me watching the tape itself. Behind me, something moved. I turned around too late. A figure, woman-shaped but wrong, was crawling out of the shadows in my childhood room. Thin limbs, hair over her face, but her hands were too flat, like paper pressed into shape. Her head tilted toward me. Not curiosity, hunger. The video ended, and the woman was gone. But unit number 232 was wide open now, and it wasn't a room anymore. It was a hallway that kept going. I entered. I don't know why. Maybe I was already part of it. The hallway twisted like intestines. I passed other doors, each labeled with names of people I've known but never seen again. An old friend who vanished in high school. My neighbor who moved away and never said goodbye. Each door pulsed faintly, like they were breathing. One door opened as I passed. Inside was an exact replica of the diner where I met Selby, except he was sitting there unmoving, eyes blacked out, and a phone in front of him ringing nonstop. I didn't answer. I kept walking. Eventually, I reached a massive chamber filled with file cabinets. Each drawer was labeled with a date, but they weren't real dates. Some read Fall Before Sleep, or January Ozalzin, or The Tuesday That Didn't Happen. Inside were documents, reports, drawings, photos. Some looked like they were of me. Others were of things that shouldn't exist, faceless children playing in ash. A city skyline folded like paper, an eye growing out of someone's hand. In the center was a book, leather-bound. It opened itself. Written on the first page, "You are now cataloged." And that's when I understood. The job was never about inventorying the units. I was becoming one. Part 8, back home. I don't know how I got back to my apartment, but now my front door has changed. The numbers read Hebber 232. Every night, the hallway behind it gets longer. Every night, the knocks get louder, and last night, my name appeared on the unit list again, except this time it wasn't on paper. It was carved into the wall. Crazy, just a paycheck. After getting laid off from a warehouse job last year, I bounced between delivery gigs and couch surfing. So when I saw a Craigslist post that said, "Overnight inventory assistant needed, $28 per hour, quiet work, must be dependable," I was all in. The interview was weird though. Not at an office, at a diner just off a rural highway. The guy waiting for me was tall, pale, and too calm. His name was Mr. Selby, no first name. He slid a packet across the table. No small talk. "You'll be cataloging storage units. Wear the gloves. Use the provided notebook. Don't ask questions." Then he said it. "If you come across unit number 232, do not open it. If it opens by itself, close it immediately and leave." I laughed, thinking it was some weird joke, but he didn't even blink. I'm not being metaphorical. I'm being literal. That should have been the first red flag, but $28 an hour was the loudest voice in my head. I signed the forms. The job. The facility sat out past the edge of town, where streetlights fade into trees and half the GPS apps just stop updating. The building was massive, gray, windowless, industrial, and surrounded by a chain-link fence with faded warnings about trespassers and electrical hazards. Selby was waiting by the gate. He handed me gloves, a headlamp, and a leather-bound logbook. No electronics allowed inside. That was rule 1. "Phones interfere," he said. He didn't elaborate. Inside, the place was freezing, even in August. It wasn't just temperature. It felt like the cold you get before a fever, like your skin knows something's off. Rows and rows of units stretched into the dark. The lights overhead flickered like they were underwater. Most units were labeled with numbers, but some had strange symbols, like mathematical notations or musical notes. My job was to open each one, list the contents, then move on. Easy, at first. The first few nights were normal. Old furniture, boxes of books, dusty photos. But around night 3, the items started getting odd. One unit was filled entirely with rotary phones, all painted white. Another had hundreds of VHS tapes, unlabeled, but when I shook one, it rattled like it was filled with broken glass. Unit number 119 had a tank inside. It was filled with fluid. Suspended in it were teeth. Human? Animal? I don't know. There was no pattern, no logic. Some units looked abandoned decades ago. Others looked recently touched, like someone had just stepped out. But unit number 232, it was always in the same place. Row H, end of the line. No lock, no pad, just a black handle. And every night as I passed it, I felt it watching me, like a thing pretending to be a door. Part 3, Undoings. On night 6, I saw something move behind me in a wall mirror inside unit number 148. Just a flicker, a figure. When I turned, nothing. But it started happening more. A knock from inside a sealed unit, the smell of burnt hair near No. 174, a low hum, just under hearing range that made my vision blur. I asked Selby. He told me not to talk during work hours. On night 9, I found something I wasn't ready for. Inside a unit marked 14, I found a bedroom. Like a fully furnished 70s-era kids' room. Bed sheets, toys, even a lava lamp. The walls were warm to the touch. There were no windows, no light source. But everything was perfectly lit. On the wall was a photo of me, as a kid, smiling, wearing a shirt I still owned. That's when I knew I wasn't cataloging junk. I was being watched. Part 4, Unit 232 opens 9-5. It happened on night 11. I turned the corner of row H, and unit number 232 was open, not wide, just cracked, like it had been waiting. Inside wasn't a storage unit, it was my apartment, not a replica, mine. Down to the cereal bowl I left in the sink that morning. Except, everything was shifted 5 degrees off. Like the air had depth it shouldn't have. Like someone recreated my life from memory and got it just slightly wrong. I stepped in. The air moved around me. I heard breathing, but not from any direction. It was like my lungs were being mimicked. Then the door slammed shut behind me. and I saw the woman. Part 5. The Woman. She was standing in the reflection of my TV, not on the screen, in the reflection on the black surface. Long black hair, face blurred like motion capture gone wrong, hands flat like paper, joints bent the wrong way. She didn't move, but her reflection turned toward me, even though she wasn't physically there. Elysis. The breathing got louder, and my phone, which wasn't even supposed to be on me, started ringing from inside the fridge. I don't know how I left. I just remember running down the corridor, and the storage units were rearranged. The layout was wrong. Angles didn't make sense. I was being pulled deeper. Then, just as suddenly, I was outside, covered in dust, my gloves gone, and in my pocket, the key to unit number 232. Back home, things were worse. My kitchen sink ran black water that smelled like old pennies. My dog refused to come near me, growled when I spoke. My bedroom mirror now reflected a room that wasn't mine, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw the woman. Not standing, but crawling on ceilings, inside drawers, sliding out of my shadow like it was a curtain. One night, I found the leather logbook from work on my pillow. I hadn't brought it home. There was only one entry inside. Unit number 232, occupied. Then, another line appeared in real time. Transferring occupant. The catalog, I returned to the facility with one goal: destroy unit number 232. But the building had changed. Inside, every unit was open, and inside each one, copies of my life. My first grade classroom, my grandma's kitchen, the alley I got mugged in at 16, all preserved like scenes from a memory. And each one had something wrong. My classmates had no faces. My grandma was stuck mid-motion, endlessly stirring a dry pot. In the alley, my attacker and I were frozen mid-struggle, locked like wax statues. I wasn't cataloging items, I was being converted into inventory. Part 8, the core. At the center of the facility, past doors that screamed when opened, was a chamber. Walls of drawers labeled with years that don't exist. Inside each, names, note descriptions. One said, Thompson Eric, failed extraction, now resides in row J as static figure, memory incomplete. Another, Selby, former overseer, now simulation interface, do not interact. Then I found mine. It wasn't finished. Pending assimilation, room integrity 72%, memory leak detected. And under that, catalog approved. Next unit, you. I ran. I don't know how I got out. Maybe I never did. Maybe I'm still in one of those units dreaming this, because last night my neighbor knocked to ask about a strange humming sound, and when I opened my apartment door, it didn't say 6 anymore. It said 232, and it was open, just a crack, and I could hear her breathing again.